Good morning, my name is Jacob Folger. I'm an artist sculptor, and today we're going to make a mushroom fairy door. And I'm starting off with rolling a ball of polymer clay. This is Sculpey 3 brand, and you definitely want to knead it first, which I did a little bit before we started. And I'm working in black clay because I like how my finishes look on black clay, and I will be doing a finish closer to the end of the video, and I'll show you how it looks, of course. I'm going to start off with rolling. After I roll a ball, I want to roll like a cone shape like this, and this will be one of the mushroom stalks. I'm going to take my fingers and pinch like this here and kind of flatten the bottom of the stalk, and then we'll just lay it there for a moment and get a bit more clay here. Now again, kneading it to condition it. The conditioning mixes up the ingredients in the clay. Now roll it into a ball and then into a cone shape, just by basically holding your hands like this when you roll. So it looks like that. And this one is maybe a little bit skinnier and taller than that one. I'm going to put it on this side, I think. And now what we want to do is create some mushroom caps. So I'm going to take a little bit of clay here and do a little kneading, and then I'm going to roll it into a ball like that. And the ball is just a starting point, but it also gets all the surface of the clay smooth. And then I'm going to take my fingers like this, and I'm going to squeeze on one end like that while turning it, which will keep it mostly uniform and give it the shape of a mushroom cap. I want to try to get it spread out a little bit. So we're just sort of getting it pieced together here. This sculpting technique I teach is called simple shapes, and it's basically forming simple shapes out of clay to form figures and structures. So we're going to make another one similar to that. They don't have to be exactly the same or the same size even. So I start off with a little bit of kneading and then roll it into a ball like that, and then start squeezing the kind of the edge, basically, that would leave a rise in the middle. By turning it, it just keeps it uniform, and turning and squeezing like this. Kind of flattening down that rise in the middle a little bit. I don't want it really sticking up real high. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both mushroom caps. They're about the same size, as you can see. Again, that is not real important. I'm going to take a knife and just cut off the edge here. Now what I'm doing when I do that is I'm leaving that rise in the middle so we still have that mushroom look, and the reason why I'm doing it is because the back end of the door is going to be flat. So I'll just cut that now, and just like this. Now we'll position it where we want it. Kind of position it how we want it, and I think I Put that like that. I just want to see how it looks. And the door will go right in here once we decide how this is all going to go together. Then we're going to take a little bit of galvanized steel wire. And this is just going to be for attaching the pieces together. You do need a pair of wire cutters. This is 18 gauge wire. And we're just going to cut off a few pieces. If you don't have any wire, you can use a coat hanger, and you can even use a paper clip, really. Paper clip would work if you stretched it out. You just put it in the cap and then into the stock like that. And having them kind of go on top of each other like that is a good idea. So they're kind of leaving a little bit of a space there between the doors, between the stalks. And then I'm basically putting one through one cap, just make sure it doesn't go through. And then you can heal up any marks that the wire's made. And I'm just kind of shaping the bottom because once this is made, I like to be able to stand the door up like that so it can stand up on its own. Now what you can do is take a sculpting tool and you can just blend in the stock to the bottom of the mushroom cap. Like that. You can smooth that with your finger a little bit. Now you can take a little bit of clay and roll it into a ball as a starting point. And then roll it into a kind of an oblong noodle shape, flatten it out a little bit, and this will go in here for the door itself. And you can just sculpt it into to the mushroom stalks and the caps at the top. And this will enable us to actually sculpt the door itself, putting in some embellishments and that sort of thing. This is what it's looking like now, as you can see. If you have any holes or uneven areas, you can fill them in with clay, like that. And just make sure there's a good bond between the door clay and the mushrooms themselves. Now, if you have something shaped like a 2x4, a piece of wood that has an angle like this that goes up and then straight over like that, that would be great to have that to make sure that the bottom of the mushrooms is flat, so that and you can form it to it or press it into it like that, pressing into it. That would ensure that the door would be able to stand up when you're finished. So I'm just kind of forming the mushroom stalks to the 2x4. This is a 2x4 wrapped in paper because I use it for all kinds of different things. So I had done another project that required writing on it and that sort of thing, and that's why it's got paper on it right now. So that tells me then that the door is pretty much flat, although I do want to cut off that excess right there. There we go. Now I like my doors to have the look of wood planking. So to achieve that, what I do is basically just draw in or carve in little lines to identify the door as made of wood planks. So that's what that looks like there. I can take a little ball of clay like this, and I want to make it, I'm going to make that into a doorknob. But before I put it on, I'm going to use this Sculpey Bacon Bond. And just put a little dab on the of that on the doorknob, and just press it gently into place. If I press it gently into place, it won't deform it. I don't want to deform it, and the Bacon Bond will hold it there. So another thing you can do is you can take like the back end of a small paintbrush. Let me see if I have something smaller. No, this will work. And you can put a little hole below the doorknob like that. And then you can take a sculpting tool like this, place it into the hole, and fan it back and forth to create the look of a keyhole. Like that. And it's just kind of a cool look. I'm just gonna widen the hole of the top of the keyhole there a little bit. You can see how that looks. And then I'm gonna do some fairly simple little hinges. I'm just going to make little balls like this, roll them into cone shapes like that. Oops. And this is not a lot of space for something really ornate, and also I kind of just like the real rustic look of this door at this point. So I roll another ball, a cone shape like that. And just place it up against the stock and onto the door itself. Now, before I press that into place, I'm going to take just a little tiny bit of my Bacon Bond, like that. Now, I use the Bacon Bond in different ways, but this is like if I'm doing certain embellishments that I'm afraid that if I press on them too hard, sometimes they'll get squished, and I don't want to squish them. So using Bacon Bond can help with that also. I'm just sort of checking everything now and seeing how it looks. Now, I'm thinking maybe, let's see. I think what I want to do is I want to make a little snail to sit by the door here. So I'm going to roll a ball of clay like this, and then I'm going to roll it into a long cone. I wanted to make it a little bit longer, just by applying a little bit of pressure to the top of the clay when you're rolling it, but also rolling it with your hands at that angle like that to each other. That can make it happen just the way you want. And then once you get it like that, you want that end to be a little bit more pointy, and then you can just spiral it, just roll it to itself like that. And this is making, of course, the shell for the snail. And then you can sort of make it concave in the center for where his body will go. Now I'll take a little bit of clay and roll a noodle shape like that. And so this will be for his body, and this will be his tail here. Just see how that works on there. Yeah, it looks like it will work. And then I sort of just a little bit flattened the upper part here, and that's going to be where his head is. And then what I do is I take like a sharp knife, and I just split this here like that, and then part these two parts like that, and that makes kind of a look of the antenna of the it's just one way to do a snail, so you don't have to do it that way, but that's kind of how I tend to do these when I make them like this. And then what I'll do is, in this piece, for the snail, I will take a sculpting tool and I'll score the parts to be joined. It just will give a nice bond. Decide where it's going to go on them like that, probably right about there. I'll score the back of the snail. Just for a little added strength, I'll put a little bit of Bacon Bond, and then I'll join the two parts together and with a little twisting motion, and that should give a nice bond. Now I have to decide where I'm going to put them on here. You know, I will try to put them on the top, or actually maybe on the top would be a good place. So I'm going to do the same procedure like I just did. I'm going to score the bottom of the snail a little bit and decide where he's going to go up here. And score the mushroom caps up here. Put a little Bacon Bond on. and then press him into place. I'm going to turn his tail out a little bit to kind of give him a sense of life there, and I'm going to put his head up, turning it slightly so he's looking at us. You can imagine he's looking at us. And I'll take a paintbrush and just kind of clean up the glue that's squeezed out. Just want to kind of smooth out the shell. It got a little indentation there. And so now we have 2 mushroom caps and a snail on top. Okay, now I think we'll put a couple mushrooms down at the bottom of the stalks. So we make them the same way. Roll the ball, squeeze it on the ends while turning it like this. Like that. And then take another piece of clay and roll a cone shape for the stalk of the mushroom. Now you can use wire again like this if you want, or you can score the top of the stalk and the bottom of the mushroom cap. It just basically, the scoring is just roughing the surface, and then you put a little bit of dab of bacon bond like this on there, and just kind of twist it together like that. And then you can decide where it's going to go on the mushroom and use a little bit of bacon bond there as well. So there's multiple ways that you can attach one piece to another. It's not like it has to be a certain way. It can be different ways. And then you can make more. You can make taller ones, shorter ones. Another nice option is a flower. You can roll a ball of clay like this, and you can actually roll several of them, maybe 5 or so, all about the same size. They can be a little bit different. So I'm going to show you a couple different things that you can do as far as embellishments go, and then you can go to town on that. So we have 5 now, and then you squish them a little bit, squeeze them, and just roll them into each other like this, and it makes little roses, basically, kind of like roses. Like that. You use a little bacon bond to adhere them to the mushroom and to the mushroom stalks, of the main stalks. And another thing that you can do is you can make a blade of grass. And you can just mix these up and do different things. So you roll a random sizes, different lengths, and you can put that as a blade of grass in. But you probably would, if you do that, you probably want to do 2 or 3 together of those. And so you just roll like 3 of them. And again, you want, I'm just using for demonstration purposes real quick. I'm showing you what you can do. But you would want to probably use Bacon Bond when you adhere them to the stock. And you can do something like that there. So there's a few things you can do. We'll take some time to go around the stocks and do that, and then we'll come back. Okay, so that's what we got now. And you want to check your the bottom with whether you have a 2x4 or anything that's going to have an edge that's going to make the bottom of it flat like that. You want to check that again. And then if you go to the video description, which is down below the video, you're going to find a tool and supply list, and you're going to find baking instructions for the clay, but you're also going to find 2 smoothing videos showing you how to smooth polymer clay. If you take a look at those, spend some time smoothing your door and making it really nice, and then we'll come back and we'll do a finish on the Mushroom Fairy door. Okay, so we're back and we're going to go ahead and do a finish on our fairy door, and we're working with Marblex Pigments, and so we need, we're going to start with, I think we're going to start with purple, or it's actually called Reflex Violet. And the best way to do this is take some on your brush and move it to the lid, and then work off of the lid. Dip your brush into the powder and then dab it on something, either your workspace or your work table or a paper towel, to get the excess off. And I'm going to put some on the shell of the snail. Sometimes you have to get it a little bit worked into the brush before it'll start to put the color on. So we'll do that, and then I think also I'll put some purple on the flowers down here. It's a pretty color. I really like it a lot. I call it purple, but it is indeed Reflex Violet is the color by Marblex Pigments. And then I think I'll put it on maybe a couple of the mushrooms also. And maybe this one here. Now I have a rag, and I just wipe it on the rag. Off camera, and I wipe it on the rag, and then I'm going to use some blue, I think, and this is actually called Duo Red Blue, and I'm going to put it on some of the mushrooms. It's just kind of a deep blue color, but when the sun hits it, or when the light hits it, it it can change colors. It can look like purple, it can look like pink a little bit. It's a pretty color though. And let's see, I think, let's see, okay, so I think we'll go to another color now. I'm going to go to Antique Bronze, and just put the brush into the powder and dab it, and then I think I'm gonna do the snail in bronze, and also the mushrooms. Now I will tell you this, it can look really nice if you use your finger to apply the bronze. You get a little bit on your finger like that, you swirl it, and sometimes it just looks better. I think it looks better a lot of the time. So the only problem is if it's a really small piece, you may not be able to get your finger to all the parts. And so what I usually do in that case is I'll go back and touch it up with a brush. So just try to get it on mostly with my finger. And then go back with the brush and just get it where you missed with your finger. But keep in mind that, you know, at least for me, you know, I'm trying for kind of an antique-y looking old aged finish. I'm not looking to make it really bright and shiny. You know, you can make it bright and shiny, but that's not what I'm trying to achieve. And then I also think I'm going to put it on some of these stalks of these mushrooms here. Like that. And then I have some left in my finger. I'm going to put a little bit more on there. And I'm just going to do the petals of the flowers because it's just so pretty. And then I think I'm going to get some green. This is the green. Let's clean my fingers off real quick here, somewhat. Clean off my brush. It's really good to clean your brush in between colors. Get a little bit on the brush. Dab it on the table. And then I'm going to put some on the grass here. And I think on the door. Just get the door kind of green here. So it's, you know, it's pretty colorful. It's, you know, definitely has an antique, you know, appeal to it, but it's very colorful. And then I clean my brush and I'm going to get a little bit of silver here and put some on the doorknob and the hinges. And then I think one more thing, I'm going to get a little bit more bronze on my fingers here. And I'm going to just touch these, let's see if I get a little bit more on there. Just touch the snail's shell. Because the bronze on the purple or reflex violet is just gorgeous, really. And now, after you finish it, you want to bake it. So you want to bake it in the oven following the instructions in the video description down below the video. And then we'll come back. Okay, we're back, and this is the completed fairy door. I just have it up on a box here so you can see it good. And that's basically it. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I have many videos along these lines. Also, like the video, share it with your friends, and on any social media you're on, please. And leave me comments or questions in the comment section. And thank you so much for watching. Have fun and have a great day.